You know, I feel sorry to the fans because the fight is boring. You know, the fight is boring. Like that's not the fans are expecting to us.
Pretty certain Terence Crawford in his brain is saying to himself, I can beat this dude. You know what I'm saying? If he actually goes through with it, he'll be 38 years of age next Sunday.
There's a guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, you know, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark.
Manny Pacquiao took shots at Floyd Mayweather for calling out Terence Crawford, saying he actually feels bad for the fans. According to Pacquiao, this isn't the type of fight boxing deserves. It would be boring, nothing more than an exhibition. He reminded everyone that Floyd has been retired for years and hasn't had a real fight in a long time, making the whole idea completely meaningless.
You know, the fight is boring. Like that's not the fans are expecting to us. I mean, as a fighter, if I'm a fan, of course I want to see a good fight, like changing fight, not a passion show.
Manny Pacquiao didn't hold back when speaking on Floyd Mayweather. He said he actually feels pity for Floyd, claiming the retired champ is now driven almost entirely by money. According to Pacquiao, Mayweather's rumored fight with Terence Crawford isn't about legacy or real competition. It's just another cash grab. Manny argued that this kind of exhibition strips boxing of its true spirit, turning the sport into nothing more than a business show, where fighters enter like models on a runway instead of warriors stepping into battle.
Now, in the beginning of this conversation, you say, I don't like boastful people. How was it like fighting Mayweather then? Did he get on your nerves? Because I feel like he's a little bit more boastful than the people you might be wanting to hang out with.
Yeah, he's boastful. I think his God is the material things, money, everything like that. I'm pretty with him because I want to share the word of God in him if he believes God.
Yeah. I've heard he's a generous man. I think he's done good things. I think, you know, he kind of reminds me of like a lot of people are like this, by the way, including myself. I'm not just saying him. I'm including myself. The man who goes up to Jesus and says, what should I do to get it to heaven? He says, sell all your belongings. And he walked away crying because he couldn't sell his belongings.
Exactly.
The announcement of Floyd Mayweather versus Mike Tyson in 2026 has sent shockwaves through the boxing world. But analysts were quick to note, this isn't about two legends at the peak of their powers. Instead, it's shaping up as a pure entertainment spectacle, built for revenue rather than competition. Reports suggest the fight will serve as a warm-up for Mayweather before a potential showdown with Terence Crawford later that same year. Observers argue both events are designed to generate massive pay-per-view numbers, capitalizing on Tyson's legendary aura and Mayweather's global brand. And while the sporting value may be questioned, the worldwide media attention is guaranteed.
Broadcast for Jake and Tyson and you know, some people like the likes of Carl Froch viewed that as an endorsement. Like, look, man, I'm just working. It's a big opportunity to be on Netflix. I didn't put the fight together. I'm not paying these guys. So, you know, let's chill out. But all right, I'm not going to poo-poo this. I just don't know what CSI is. And the way it was presented made me think that there was like a secondary press release to come, that they'll be involved in like some sort of like virtual boxing thing. Like, it just didn't seem real. You know why it didn't seem real? I'll tell you why. There's no date attached to it. There's no venue attached to it. Forget rules, exhibition, not exhibition, weight. I mean, here's a guy who fought a heavyweight fighting forget all that. These things can get figured out, the fine details. The fact that it was announced, why announce something with no date or location attached to it? What's the point? Unless you're just trying to get people excited and trying to get them, you know, trying to get some investors or something like that.
But maybe also testing the waters. If the response was overwhelmingly positive, maybe you go, okay, we move forward. If the response is muted or negative, maybe you go, okay, we're not going to actually do this. You know, you lob it out there as a way to poll the public, and then make an adjustment.
So you don't think it happens?
I do not think it happens. I just don't think there will be enough interest. I know they have huge name value. There's zero, after the last performance by Mike Tyson against Jake Paul, I don't think there's going to be interest in seeing Mike Tyson do that again.
Terence Crawford has never hidden his admiration for Manny Pacquiao. Speaking on Pacquiao's legacy, Crawford made it clear. Manny's career stands alone in boxing history. The Filipino legend conquered titles across multiple weight divisions, often stepping up against bigger opponents and beating the odds. Crawford stressed that Pacquiao's achievements weren't just historic, but nearly impossible to replicate. He believes Manny's greatness came in a unique era, defined by challenges most fighters wouldn't even dare to face.
Man, a generational, talented fighter. Like, he's accomplished what no other fighter is ever going to accomplish.
The possibility of Terence Crawford stepping into the ring with David Benavidez has become one of the hottest debates among boxing fans. Benavidez, with his size, youth, and relentless aggression, is seen as one of the most dangerous fighters in the sport today. Many believe this matchup would push Crawford to levels he's never been tested before. But for now, it remains only speculation, with no official confirmation in place. Still, the buzz shows just how hungry fans are for real, high-stakes battles, fights that go beyond exhibitions and celebrity-driven spectacles.
The world, not me, but shocked the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majimov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7", with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?
Trainer Greg Hackett had nothing but admiration after Terence Crawford's stunning victory over Canelo Alvarez. He described Canelo as the shark of boxing, a symbol of dominance who ruled the sport with power and precision for years. But Hackett said Crawford didn't just face the shark, he dismantled him. To Hackett, that win marks a seismic shift in the boxing world, making Crawford the new predator in the waters, the fighter every contender must now fear. And with Canelo beaten, one question remains. Who is left that can truly test Terence Crawford? Or will he choose to walk away at the very peak of his dominance?
Because you got to remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, you know, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Right. Damn. Like, you know what I mean? Ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit. Got to make sense. Like you said, you be the shark and then you be the wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, there is, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's to me it don't make sense. But that's
really
what.
A monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend. But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
saying? Your line of suits, get your money, man. Go ahead and get the easy money, man. You ain't gotta sweat no more.
What's up,
Not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat. He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's cause when a guy see himself up here and then is fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man, this ain't even that. But your coach like, listen, you could get fucked up. I'm telling you, you don't want to listen. Then you go in there and fight that guy. Then you get fucked up. I seen it happen.
Analysts agree. Terence Crawford's dominant win over Canelo Alvarez was the defining moment of his career, ending any debate about his place in boxing history. Before this, Crawford had already earned respect with his dismantling of Errol Spence, a fight where he silenced every critic who questioned his opposition. But beating Canelo was different. Canelo had long been considered one of the sport's pound-for-pound kings, a champion who thrived across multiple divisions against bigger, stronger opponents. Yet Crawford didn't just face him. He dismantled him in a way few ever imagined. That performance proved his brilliance transcends weight classes and styles, showcasing adaptability, technical mastery, and unmatched mental toughness. Today, nearly everyone agrees. Terence Crawford stands as one of the rare fighters who has conquered every challenge put before him.
But I think there was enough action, and I think Crawford displayed his skill enough, even to someone with not the most trained eye, that they know they saw a very high-level athlete perform something at a very high level last night. I think he gained the sports world's attention last night and respect. He already did after Spence, but it went to another level in this fight.
And I think even the fight itself, like just from a median level, but then the moments where they were having these exchanges, like kind of late in the fight, then people were like, all right, it was good. Then like, okay. I saw somebody like, they're squabbing. Like, there's a fight here. So I think it did.
And Crawford closed the show.
Yeah.
In 10, 11, 12, he stood in there and landed some hard shots and rocked Canelo at the bell. He didn't, well, James was talking about the great Floyd Mayweather. Floyd would go up on you 8-0 and then coast, and you might as well turn the fight off at midway through the ninth. Like, you know, he's not going to. But Crawford didn't do that. But he wasn't up 8-0, to be fair to Floyd. But Floyd was when he fought Canelo, so he could do that. But Bud instead steps on the gas. Bud is a finisher. You know, he closes really strong. He closes really strong in every exchange. That's one of his gifts. He's the best counterpuncher of his era, one of the greatest counterpunchers that lived. But the great fighters, James would tell us about this. James and Mike McCallum put on fights that exemplify what I'm talking about: initiating and punctuating, being first, being last. That's one of the things that makes Crawford who he is. So, no, I think it was a good enough fight that it certainly didn't hurt boxing.
Yeah, I think sport of boxing delivered last night. I mean, Crawford didn't deliver.
Yeah,
Manny,
it did.
The debate between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather has become one of the most fascinating conversations in modern boxing. Supporters of Mayweather point to his defensive genius, flawless timing, and unmatched ring IQ. Tools that allowed him to neutralize opponents, dictate the pace, and maintain an undefeated record against world-class competition. But on the other side, many believe Crawford could have been Floyd's toughest test. With his adaptability, punching power, and relentless composure, Crawford brings weapons few of Mayweather's past opponents possessed. His seamless switch hitting, intelligent pressure, and finishing instincts might have forced Floyd into uncomfortable exchanges he usually avoided. In the end, this matchup may forever remain a what-if, but the comparison highlights two different shades of greatness: Mayweather's calculated dominance versus Crawford's versatile aggression. Both legacies inspire respect across generations.
Fantasy matchup between Prime Mayweather and Prime Crawford, I've tended to lean slightly towards Mayweather. But after that performance there against Canelo, not just the fact he won, the manner in which he won, I've changed my mind. I would now lean towards prime Crawford over Mayweather. And the reason I say this is because of the expert way in which Terence Crawford mixed offensive in the pocket boxing with defensive on the move boxing. Not running, save for maybe a round or two. No, just moving nicely. Because if there's one area of Floyd Mayweather's game that was underdeveloped, it's his front foot game. Whenever Mayweather was forced to walk an opponent down, what he did was actually very basic. He would hold his hands up and he would walk forward throwing straight right hands. Okay, they were accurate straight right hands. They were well-timed straight right hands. But there wasn't a whole heap of head movement. There wasn't a whole heap of creative or dynamic footwork, coming forward, walking somebody down. No, it was very, very basic stuff. And I don't think an approach that basic would have worked against, let's say, a Tommy Hearns, who was 6'1", 6'2", 78-inch reach, massive puncher, good hand speed. So I always thought that a prime Tommy Hearns would beat prime Mayweather, because I can't see Mayweather doing what Ray Leonard did, grabbing the bull by the horns and taking it to Tommy Hearns. Can't see him doing that. And if he did try and do it, he's going to get clipped. Tommy Hearns hit so hard, that guard from Mayweather wouldn't be enough, in my opinion. And I never saw Mayweather on the front foot moving his head a lot. When he's in the middle of the ring or in the back foot, when he's being defensive, yeah, that's when he moves his head. The famous Philly shell defense, the shoulder roll and all that. But coming forward, no, it's a lot more basic. Go watch Mayweather's old fights. You'll see what I'm talking about. Whenever he's forced to come forward, it's basic stuff. And so after watching Crawford's performance against Canelo, I got to thinking, you know what? Maybe Crawford employs similar tactics if he fights a prime Mayweather.
With his accomplishments piling up, Terence Crawford now stands at a crossroads. Fans are calling for him to chase new challenges. Names like David Benavidez, Jermall Charlo, and other marquee opponents. But there's also the real possibility that Crawford could walk away. At 37 years old, with nothing left to prove, retirement on top remains a tempting option. That uncertainty has fans on edge, worried the sport could lose one of its last true active greats at a time when boxing desperately needs big fights.
Turkey Al-Sheikh said, deliver the job to Terence Crawford. The fight is fake, showbiz.
Saturday, deliver the job.
Y'all missed the most important part. It's when he said, don't retire.
No retirement.
This is what you guys are missing. Turkey Al-Sheikh was trying to say, return the favor.
You must return, yeah.
Bud interrupted him by saying the job ain't done, which prompted Turkey Al-Sheikh to say, yeah, deliver the job. But that's not what he was on. He was on the first part, return the favor. But Turkey, in a second thought, he goes back to Bud and he says, and don't retire.
No retirement.
That's what Turkey meant when he was trying to say, return the favor. I did this for you, you got this big fight, but don't retire. Return the favor.
UFC legend Daniel Cormier is the latest to praise Terence Crawford while reacting to Ilia Topuria's surprising call-out. Cormier, known for his deep combat sports IQ, acknowledged Topuria's rapid rise and superstar potential in MMA. But despite the hype, Cormier made it clear his confidence still lies with Crawford. He said Crawford has already proven himself as the greatest active fighter today, with a resume and dominance that speak louder than any speculation. And what makes Cormier's words even more powerful is that they come from outside of boxing, showing just how far Crawford's influence stretches. His greatness isn't just recognized inside the ring, it's respected across all of combat sports.
Would I bet that Ilia Topuria could knock Terence Crawford out? No chance. If I had to bet Ilia Topuria versus Terence Crawford, I'm betting Terence Crawford. I mean, he's the best boxer in the world, and this is what he does, and he's done his entire life. But we also knew that about Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. We knew, right, deep down, that Conor McGregor was not going to knock out Floyd Mayweather. But because of what we had seen him do inside of the octagon, what we had seen him do to all those great fighters in MMA, when he walked into that ring, people thought he had a chance. He didn't really have a chance. Conor never had a chance against Floyd Mayweather. And it would feel that way with Topuria. But you could at least sell that there's a chance because of how good he is in boxing and how he knocks people out inside the UFC. Initially, I thought Bud Crawford would just no-sell Ilia Topuria, right? When you're the king and everybody's calling your name, you can literally just ignore them and nobody will say anything about it. But Bud Crawford isn't one to ignore stuff.
That's all for today's video. Make sure to stay locked in, because the next one is going to be even bigger.